How many questions do you need to get right in order to get a 6.5? Do some questions give you more points than others? That's what we're talking about today, as well as the instructions that you need to know for the IELTS listening paper. Hello, my name's Phil and you're watching the IELTS Grind. So, first of all, how is the IELTS paper graded? Well, it's simply 40 questions, and if you get above a certain range, you will be given a certain band score. Now the thing is, I say a range because each exam is a little bit different. You will have a certain mix of, let's say, easier questions and more difficult questions. The only people that know which questions are deemed more or less difficult are the people that create the test, the IELTS, so IDP or British Council. So we don't know that as teachers and we don't know that as students. So let's just talk about the ranges, the approximate number of questions that you need to get for each level. So if we were talking about a 5, you'd have to get a range of 16 to 22 questions correct for a 5, 5.5, somewhere in that range. In order to get a 6 or 6.5, you'd have to get somewhere between 23 questions correct and 29 questions correct, somewhere within that range approximately. In order to get a 7 to 7.5, you're looking at 30 to 34, a range of something like this, 8 to 8.5, 35 to 38, and of course to get a band score 9, above 39. So those are the kind of ranges that you're looking at. So obviously your job is to answer as many questions correctly as you can. And the best way to do this effectively is to understand the instructions. Okay, so I just want to talk about a few things to do with the listening paper that you should know. So the first question is, can I write capital letters? Should I write all capitals for all my answers? What is the story here? Well, in English, the only letters that we capitalize are those on proper nouns, so names of things. For example, Phil, the P in my name is always capitalized because it's a proper noun. We also capitalize at the beginning of a sentence, we capitalize the first letter. So, can you help me please? The first letter, can, C, would be capitalized. So in your exam, do not write capitals for every single letter in all the words. Only write capitals if you're talking about a proper noun, the name of something. Okay? In all other cases, you don't need a capital letter. How about spelling? Does it matter? Well, yes, spelling does matter. So first of all, you need to spell the word correctly. This is one of the most frustrating things that I see when I give my students an exam. They've heard the word correctly, but they've spelt it wrong. So sometimes it's just because they don't know how to spell the word. If this is the case, if you've done some mock exams and you've spelt something wrong, then make sure you learn how to spell that. Put it on your list, practice that word. It may come up in a future exam. Another reason that people spell things incorrectly is because they write down the singular form of a word where it should be in the plural. I remember an example, the answer was blueberries, and all my students put blueberry. So they all got the answer wrong, even though they heard the right kind of word. So the other thing to think about is, should you write with the British spelling or the American spelling? And it really doesn't matter, but do choose one or the other. If you've learnt British English, sure, you're going to use that naturally. If you've been studying American English, then use that. There's no difference in the IELTS, but just keep it consistent. So sometimes you're going to need some sort of currency symbol, or possibly you need to write down something like AM or PM. But when do you do this? Well, the thing is, if you look at the question, for example, if the question was about the rent, the amount of rent that someone had to pay each month, if in the question it already has the pound symbol or the dollar symbol or the euro symbol, you do not need to write that on your exam paper. But if it's not there and the question is definitely about money, you should write it on your exam paper. The same is true for times. So if on the exam paper it's talking about the opening hours for a shop, if it says something PM to something PM or something AM to something PM. If it has the AM and the PM on the question paper, you do not need to write that on your exam paper. But if it's not there and it's clearly about time, you should write it on your answer paper. The other thing is to do with the instructions. So for many questions, you're going to be told how many words you should write. So imagine you're in the exam and you see the instructions, 2 words and or a number. Can you write 1 word? Yes. Can you write 2 words? Yes. Can you write a number? Yes, absolutely. Can you write 2 words and a number? Yes. So the answer could be 2 words and a number. So it would be 3 words, let's say. But in fact, the 3rd word is a number. That's absolutely fine. So when it says and or, it means this one or this one. But it also means this one and this one. So my biggest tip for you is to really know the instructions before you go into the exam. So you should know for each question type and each section, what are the common instructions that you are given. That means that when you go into the exam, you're not going to waste precious time misunderstanding the instructions. You can briefly look through them, go, okay, I know this instruction, I've seen this one before, I know what to do, and then you can get to the task of looking at the actual questions for keywords, thinking of the type of grammar that's coming up, predicting some answers. So if you know the instructions beforehand, you won't lose precious time. So hopefully that's answered all your questions about capitals, spellings, special symbols in English, and the and or conundrum. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give us a like. If you have any questions about the listening paper at all, don't hesitate to put them in the comment section and we will get back to you. I'm Phil and you've been watching the IELTS Grind, and I'll see you next time.